This is the view from the ship. I'm gonna walk around. Guys, look at this view. It's like a magazine. It's like from a magazine. This is very pretty. Those are the cruise ship, of course. Yeah. I grew up in Jamaica, so we go to the beach a lot. So looking at this view, the sun is a lease. In case you get to see this view. Cruise ship, of course. Probably gonna head back to the ship. I'm a little bit hungry and kind of tired because, you know, being at the beach, yeah, the water beating against you, the sun tilting. It's really hot. I ain't gonna lie, it's really hot. It's really hot. This is the beach, Grand Turks beach. Oh yeah, thank you. So, the white sand beaches, and over there, let's see.
That's how it propels itself, okay? They've actually harvested one that was over 9 feet in length.
Wow.
So they can grow up to be, fairly big. Touch it.
I guess.
Touch it.
Yeah, just touch it.
But some people eat them?
Yes, ma'am. The Chinese people, they harvest these things and sell it for a lot of money.
Oh,
Obvious, well.
spitting out
Not
water.
me. I like pizza.
Oh, he's
Want to
like,
get
They're into your flesh very quickly, very easily. And they're barbed. That means they don't pull back out again, okay? Once it sticks you, it's up in your flesh, and it does not come out unless you cut it out.
Ooh.
Also, you must put some antiseptic or some alcohol on it so it doesn't get infected. Now we do have a low crime rate in the islands. Yes, guys, you can walk up and down the street day and night, anytime. Very low crime rate. I like to tell people there's 2 reasons. The first is because most of us is cousins down here. The second reason, if you was about to do something, they would know before you even done it. So, to the right is our Supreme Court house. Now, the Turks had inn, very historical inn, built in the 1800s. The royal family did spend a week stay here in the 1960s. 3 major motion pictures were filmed at this location, the last one being The Lost Son. Now to the left, folks, you can't see the house, but that's a very old house back there, built in the 1800s, and of course it's been, left to ruin. So, but you do have one built in the 1830s, the Frith House. As you can see, some properties have been restored and are well maintained. And I would imagine that was the answer, the right answer for it.
It just seems such a shame, property that could be so beautiful to be just abandoned.
Well, that's very true, and not to mention the fact that the property is worth a lot of money on the beach. A lot of money.
I think the owners would be willing to sell it to get the money.
And they went into default, that's all. Guys, we're now in Coburn Town. Coburn was a British admiral. His town was named after him. He's from the 1700s. The seawall was put in place after the 1945 hurricane to prevent further erosion. Now, when you walk along the seawall when it's calm, you can look down and see the old cannons down there in the water. Those old cannons come from the tall wooden ships. Oh, and I'm going to tell you something a little peculiar. We do have 2 Canadian banks on the island, but we're British overseas territory. and we use the US currency. It does. And now I'm going to describe the salt, how it was made. To the left you see a small jetty, a set of gates. We have several of them. On a high tide they would open those gates to allow seawater in. The seawater would pass through this canal and into the main town Salinas. There they would block it off and allow it to evaporate. In about 12 weeks you would have salt, which would then be prepared for shipment. Guys, the Anglican Church, this one library, was destroyed by Hurricane Maria. But actually, to be quite honest, there was a fire the previous year that destroyed the roof, which allowed us. The first one is where they catch the ferry service going over to Salt Cay. Salt Cay is a very small island about 9 miles to the south of Grand Turk. The second wharf is the old salt wharf, and this is where they loaded up the salt onto. Okay, folks, a very historical building to the left is called the Eunice Lodge. In 1834, the Emancipation Proclamation was read off of that balcony, ending slavery in these islands. Yes, slavery started here when the Bermudians came to make the salt industry happen in the late 1600s. And these were African people, okay? They brought the African slaves here to work the salt industry. Now, some of the more affluent, wealthy people lived along Middle Street back in the day. Of course, looking at the deep potholes in it, you would wonder. But there were some very grand two-story homes along Middle Street. Today you'll only see a remnant of it, of course. You see the step chimney, the limestone chimney right there? That was the kitchen of one of those homes. Now if you look straight ahead, you'll see the main town Salinas that was there for centuries. We do not make salt anymore. The salt industry ended around the 1960s as the demand for salt production went way down. Believe it or not, they still make salt this way. They have some islands that big companies like Morton will make sea salt, just like they did here on Grand Turk. Our police station, ladies and gentlemen, has its own little bar they call the Cantina. Yes, you're invited in to enjoy some cocktails, and if you had one or two too many, well, the police do offer a ride home. No. It's not like the U.S., folks. Unless you got into a fight, and then yes, you're going over to another part of the island. So, okay, you'll see the white foam that's forming up. That is actually salt production. You'll see some posts out there. Those were actually windmills. Okay, there were a number of windmills in these ponds back in the day, with paddle wheels attached, which would actually move the salt water throughout the entire area. Of course, because of the hurricanes, they're not around anymore. Now typically you'll find flamingos in these ponds, but they do move around a bit. I actually went to the other side of the island on my previous tour, and we saw a few of those flamingos up close. But typically you'll see them out there eating the brine shrimp. And the flamingo is found on the government seal, one on either side of a shield. On top, however, is the national bird, which is the brown pelican. Okay, that is our national bird. Now we do have a nice little rhyme about the brown pelican, which I'll recite to you. It goes like this. A strange bird, a pelican, his beak holds more than his belly can. He can hold in his beak enough food for a week. I wonder how the hell he can. Thank you very much. Okay, the only traffic circle on the island in the center is a statue of our first Chief Minister, Jakes McCartney. We do have a holiday in honor of him called National Heroes Day. Now, when Christopher Columbus was passing through, he made an entry into the ship's log describing this island, whereby he said a small beanpot-shaped island with a rather large body of water at the northern end, which accurately describes Grand Turk, because if you look over to the left, you'll see the beginning of North Creek, and it goes directly out into the sea. There was an archaeological find in North Creek, whereby an Indian canoe paddle was discovered or recovered, and it dated back to the 1200s, belonged to the Lucayan Indian. Folks, Grand Turk is relatively flat. However, we do have a ridge. You can see it over to the right, a 36-foot cliff on the east side of the island. It does actually protect us against storm surge. Now, once on top, you will see beautiful ocean views as we make our way down to the Grand Turk Lighthouse. As a matter of fact, we do have a number of expats on the island. Not so much here on Grand Turk as in Providenciales, okay? But yes, we do have British, Canadian, and U.S. people, United States citizens here. And they love to come to these islands and visit, and sometimes they will stay permanently. They'll build their own house, and it could be a vacation home or sometimes a more permanent dwelling. Alright folks, over to the right, the east side of Grand Turk is where the local fishermen come out and catch their conch and lobster and fish.
It's another day at sea, and all you can see is just the blue or the clear water. Yeah, we're headed to Grand Turks, and I think we're also headed home after that stop and stuff. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Stay tuned for my next video where I go to Canada solo traveling. Thank you so much again. Please like, subscribe, and share my videos. Any comments or feedback will be greatly appreciated.